Morning everyone. So in the last class we have finished the topic vector spaces. Today we are going to talk about subspaces. So if V is a vector space, then to define subspaces, S must be a subset of V and S itself should be a vector space. If these two conditions holds, then we can say that it is a subspace of the vector space. So introduction to the subspaces. So a non-empty subset W of V is said to be a subspace of V if W itself a vector space with respect to the same operations of V. So every vector space has always at least two subspaces. Think over it, what they can be. So the zero vector space, so zero vector here means 0V and V itself. The zero vector is known as trivial subspace. Okay, so what do you think that W form a subspace of R2 or not? Before you think of the question, one important observation here is that we know that R2 is a vector space, and for what operations are vector space? So if the operations are not defined, then they are the usual addition and scalar multiplication. So here when it is asking R2 is a vector space of W is a subspace of R2, then of course we have to talk of the two operations plus and dot. But since it is not given, it means that we have to consider the standard addition and scalar multiplication. Now think over it, does it form a subspace? So we know that W, how does W look like? So it looks like x comma 0 such that x belongs to R. So W is a subset of R2. W is non-zero. Now we have to see all 10 properties are satisfied. So the elements are of the form x comma 0. So associative, commutative, distributive laws easily follows. And other than that, 0 0 also belongs to W, and minus x comma 0 also belongs to W, which are the additive identity and additive inverse. Therefore, W forms a subspace of R2. Let's see one more question. So xy such that x is not equal to y. Does W forms a subspace of R2? Now in this case it doesn't. There can be many properties which may not hold, but one of the simplest property is 0 comma 0. So we know that 0 comma 0, since it's a subset of R2, 0 comma 0 must be the 0 vector, but it does not belongs to W, because to belong it to W, x should not be equal to y. So this is x, this is y, but they are equal. And since the additive identity does not belongs to W, we can claim that it does not form a subspace. So now what we have seen is that if W is a subset of V and we have to prove W is a subspace, we have to see all 10 properties hold or not, which is quite a lengthy process. Instead of that, we have to consider this result that W is a subset of a vector space V. And if we consider it, then the 10 properties get reduced to only 2 properties. And this is why this theorem is very important. It says that a non-empty set W of a vector space V is a subspace of V if and only if following conditions hold. W is closed under addition. So here again you can see that plus sign is mentioned, and this is common now in all the lectures, in all the books, that every time we may not write this plus sign. So simple plus sign, and Ku here means K is in the italic, U is bold, so U is always vector and K is scalar. So Ku is representing the scalar multiplication. So it means that W is a subspace if it is closed under addition and closed under scalar multiplication. Yes, and if any one of these properties does not hold, then we can directly say that W is not a subspace. So from one side it's very easy to prove. If W is a subspace, it means W itself is a vector space. If W is a subspace, which means W is a vector space, and since it is a vector space, it must be closed under addition and scalar multiplication. So closed under vector addition and scalar multiplication. Okay, so this part is trivial. Other way around, if it is closed under addition and scalar multiplication, then we have to prove that it is a subspace, for which we have to prove first that it is a vector space. So the two properties are U plus V belongs to W and Ku belongs to W. These two properties are given. V is a vector space and we have to show that all other 8 properties also holds for W. Now among 8 properties, if I leave vector addition, if I leave identity and inverse at this stage, then the other properties, commutative, associative and distributive laws directly follows. Why? For example, commutative. So commutative means U plus V should be equal to V plus U. Why it should hold? Because U and V are element of W and W is a subset of V, which means U and V are element of V and V is a vector space, therefore it follows. The same logic works for distributive laws and all other properties. But there comes a problem when we think of the identity. In case of the identity, the 0 vector may belongs to V, but 0 vector may not belongs to W because W is a subset. So we have to ensure that W, the 0 vector also belongs to W. And how can we ensure it? We have to use the theorem which we did in the vector space. So let's assume K is equal to 0. So we know that Ku belongs to W, which means 0 dot U belongs to W. And 0 dot U becomes the 0 vector. This we already knows from that result. And therefore the 0 vector belongs to W. Similarly, if I choose K is equal to minus 1, then minus 1 dot U is equal to minus U, which is the additive inverse, and this also belongs to W because closed under scalar multiplication. So all the 10 properties now hold, which means that W is a vector space. Since it is a subset of V, it is a subspace. Okay, so an interesting remark which says that W is a subspace of vector space, then the 0 vector must belongs to W because it is now a vector space. From this remark, what we can see here is that if I have to prove that W is a subspace of V, I should consider 3 properties. The first is the 0 vector must belongs to W. This ensures us that W is non-empty. The second property is for all UV belongs to W, U plus V belongs to W. And the third property says that for all K is in a scalar, U is in a vector, Ku, the scalar multiplication, also belongs to W. So 0 vector belongs to W. W must be closed under addition and scalar multiplication. Other way around, if any one of these 3 properties does not hold, we can directly say that W is not a subspace. So let's see the first question. Check if W2 is a subspace of R3. Yes, and how W2 is defined? It is a subset of R cube such that the sum of x, y, z should be equal to 0. So the vectors of W2 looks like something like this: -2, then it could be 3, then -1. So their sum is 0, therefore it belongs to W2. Yes. So now I have to see all 10 all 3 properties hold or not. The first one is, I know that the 0 vector of R cube. Again, remember that whenever operations are not mentioned, we are considering the usual addition and scalar multiplication. So now 0, 0, 0, this is a 0 vector of R cube and it belongs to W2 because 0 plus 0 plus 0 is equal to 0. So first property hold. For the second property, let's assume that u and v belongs to W2, which means that u can be taken as x1, y1, z1, where x1 plus y1 plus z1 is equal to 0, and v can be taken as x2, y2 and z2, where x2 plus y2 plus z2 is equal to 0. Yes. Now I have to show that u plus v belongs to W2. So u plus v, you have to add u plus v, it becomes x1 plus x2, y1 plus y2 and z1 plus z2. And u plus v belongs to W2 if the sum of these 3 positional elements should be equal to 0. So let's compute their sum. So their sum is x1 plus x2 plus y1 plus y2 plus z1 plus z2, which can be written as x1 plus y1 plus z1 plus x2 y2 plus z2. Now x1 plus y1 plus z1 is equal to 0, x2 plus y2 plus z2 is equal to 0. Therefore this sum is 0 and therefore u plus v belongs to W2. Similarly, you can easily prove that ku, which becomes kx, ky and kz. If you see its sum, then k, and in the bracket it is x plus y plus z. X plus y plus z is equal to 0 because u belongs to W2 and therefore ku also belongs to W2. All 3 properties hold and therefore I can say that W2 forms a subspace of R cube under usual addition and scalar multiplication. Let's consider the second one. For each question, first try it by yourself. So it says that x, y, z such that x is greater than equal to 0. So this does not hold because if I choose 1, 2, 3, u is equal to 1, 2, 3, it belongs to W1 because the first positional element 1 is greater than equal to 0. But if I choose k is equal to -2, because k can be any scalar, here we are mainly considering k to be a real number. So again, in terms of the scalars also, if it is not specified, we always consider a scalar to be real number. So now k is equal to -2. So ku becomes -2, -4, -6, which does not belongs to W because this first position should be greater than equal to 0. But this is negative. This means that it is not closed under scalar multiplication and therefore W is not a subspace of R cube. One important thing to notice here is that to prove, I have to prove in a journal way, which we have seen in case of the W2. I cannot consider a particular example. But when I have to disprove it, I just have to consider one property and one counter example. So you can see, instead of u taken to be in journal xyz, I consider it as 1, 2, 3, a particular value, because I want to generate a counter example. So the same follows in terms of the vector space also. If I have to prove that it is a vector space, all 10 properties need to be proved. But to disprove it, I just need to find one property and one counter example which does not hold. Third one, x is equal to y square, x, y, z, such that x is equal to y square. Again, it does not forms a subspace because it is not closed under addition. Consider the two elements u is equal to 1 1 0 and v is equal to 4 2 0. You can see that in both of them x is equal to y square, x is equal to y square. This is y, this is x. Now if you add them, u plus v, then it becomes 5 3 and 0, where x is not equal to y square, and therefore it does not belongs to W3, which implies that W3 does not form a subspace. Last one, the most simplest one, it does not form a subspace because 0 0 0 does not belongs to W4. Its sum is equal to 0, but to belong to this set, the sum should be equal to 2. Okay, now consider the vector space M22, set of the matrices of order 2 and with the real entries under usual addition and scalar multiplication. The first one is A is singular. Singular means that determinant is equal to 0. You need to check is W1 forms a subspace of M22. Okay, if yes, prove all three properties. If no, produce a counter example. So try yourself and then look at the answer. So let us consider that u is equal to 1 1 2 2 and v is equal to 1 2 1 2. You can easily see that u and v belongs to W1 because the determinant is equal to 0. But if I compute u plus v, it becomes 2 3 3 and 4. Now its determinant is 12 minus 9, which is 3, which is 8 minus 9, which is minus 1, and therefore it is non-singular. This means that u plus v does not belongs to W1 and therefore it is not closed under addition. Next one, A is non-singular. Non-singular means now determinant should not be equal to 0. Again, this is not a subspace because the 0 vector, it is always singular. So it does not belongs to W2. A is in RREF, not a subspace, not closed. Even only the 0 vector follows here. It is not closed under addition, not closed under scalar multiplication. So consider an example, u is equal to 1 0 0 0. It is in RREF. K is equal to 5. Now ku is equal to 5 0 0 0. This is not in RREF. And therefore again we can say that W3 is not a subspace. Last one, A is symmetric, which means that A is equal to A transpose. Yes. Now if I consider the 0 vector is symmetric, therefore belongs to W4. If I consider AB belongs to W4, then A plus B transpose can be written as A transpose plus B transpose, which is A plus B. And therefore A plus B belongs to W4. Similarly, I can show that KA belongs to W4. And therefore W4 forms a subspace of M22. Okay, now recall the vector space f minus infinity infinity, which is the set of all functions with real entries. The first one is f is continuous. Does it form a subspace? Yes. Now you have to recall that how you add two functions, then things would be more easy to understand. Let's say f of x is equal to x and g of x is equal to x square. Both f and g belongs to w1 because they are continuous. If you compute f plus g, then it becomes x square plus x plus 1, which again belongs to w1 because it is continuous. So if you see graphically and if you draw y is equal to x and y is equal to x square plus 1, and if you see that okay, on the graph if I am adding them, then it does not look continuous. So the problem is you are not adding them correctly. You have to add it like this, and then you have to trace again x square plus x plus 1. You will see that it comes out to be continuous. So in this case all three properties easily follows, and therefore w1 is a subspace. If you think of the 0 function, then the 0 of x is equal to x, which is a constant function. Constant function is also continuous, therefore 0 belongs to w1. Second one, f is discontinuous. So we have just discussed that the 0 function is always continuous because it's a constant function. Therefore 0 function does not belongs to w2, and this is why w2 does not form a subspace. F of 1 is equal to 0. Okay, so we know that 0 of x is equal to 0. This is how the 0 function is defined, and therefore 0 of 1 is also 0, implies 0 belongs to w3. Now consider f and g belongs to w3, implies f of 1 is equal to 0 is equal to g of 1. So if you compute f plus g of 1, it becomes f of 1 plus g of 1, which is equal to 0, implies f plus g belongs to w3. Similarly kf also belongs to w3, and this is why it forms a subspace. The last one, f of 1 is not equal to 0. So again the same thing, the 0 function does not belongs to w4 because 0 function is always going to the 0, and therefore w4 does not form a subspace. Okay, so we have seen some examples to understand the concept of the subspace, but we will see some more interesting examples in the next class, some theoretical questions also related to the subspace, to develop a better understanding of this concept. So thank you very much for attending the lecture.